Naked Heart Revolution is the go-to podcast for high-achieving individuals seeking to transform their relationships and life. Hosted by Jenny Bingham, an intimacy reset coach. Each episode explores emotional reconnection, personal growth, or business insight through expert guests sharing real stories and strategies. Whether you want to deepen your connection with your partner or elevate your business, this podcast delivers the tools and mindset shifts needed for lasting change. Subscribe to join the community focused on intentional healing and empowerment. Hi, Marjah. Thank you for accepting to take a few minutes out of your busy schedule to actually meet with us, to talk about how you help people write their books. Either they're just starting, they're in the middle, they've been trying for decades. So can you bring us through the process, please?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jenny, for having me. I'm excited to be here with everyone in your audience. I absolutely love being a conduit for helping people to become authors. It's not something that I've done my entire life. It's something that I was pulled into, that called me into this profession. I've been doing this for almost 7 years, and I'm an attorney by profession, and so practicing law. And many years ago, my sister and I, we had a side business while I was practicing as an attorney. And like a lot of people, I had a desire to share my knowledge, to share and influence people that were not just our clients, but even at a broader audience, and really help solve a problem for someone. And we had a health and wellness company, and so I was writing a book that was a food health transition book, and with recipes and everything. And I went with a traditional publisher, and I found myself years later, 10 years later, still writing that same book, editing, re-editing, trying to figure out, changing the focus, changing the topic. Because I didn't have me to tell me I was done. I didn't have my team to edit for me. It's all of these things that I was trying to do myself. And every time I went back to that traditional publishing house, I was met with very little support, very little assistance. If I wanted something, it was more money. And then even that was just touching on the surface, not really taking the journey with me, not really holding my hand and bringing me to completion. So finally, I just said, you know what? I'm done. I'm publishing it, and I called it. But a decade had passed. And that was a decade of us not helping people. That was a decade of people that needed that knowledge, that needed that influence, that needed that impact, that didn't get it, at least not from us. And that was also a lot of probably missed opportunities for us in our company. And so after that experience, I was like, I'm never publishing another book again. This was painful. This was terrible. There was a disconnect. If I'm putting out something good in the world and it's so hard, painful to me, it just didn't seem to match. And the energy just seemed off. I decided never doing that again. So they always say the funniest thing is when God has other plans after you've made yours.
Well, what's the story with this one?
So years later, I was woken up out of my sleep at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, repeatedly, day after day after day, with words just pouring through me. So it was like a spiritual download of a book. And I was just compelled to write and write and write and write, and I couldn't stop it. So for a couple of hours every morning, and I'm like, God, why can't you wake me up at a normal hour? And he's like, because you don't listen at a normal hour. So I was like, touche. There I am writing and writing. And when the words stopped pouring through me, I read back over the papers that had came through me, and I was like, I'm not publishing this. because there were things in there that I didn't want to share with the world. Like I talked about being an empath. That was not something I told people. I thought it was like private and weird. And I'm an attorney. I'm in a serious profession. I can't be talking about those things. And and there were a lot of other things that I wasn't ready to share with the world, which is why I know it came through me, not from me. Because if it was from me, I wouldn't have wrote the things that were in that book. And then also my past experience of publishing a book, like I said, I wanted no parts of that. So I'm like, I'm not doing that again. And so for all of these egocentric reasons, I decided to hide the book on my computer for about 2 years. And in that time, I showed it to only one of my friends, and she was like, you have to publish this. I was like, absolutely not. And finally, year after year after year, I knew I needed to leave my job as an attorney. I was depressed, I was crying, I was unhappy. It was not in alignment with who I am. I felt like I was being wielded out as a weapon. I was in a hostile work environment, and on and on and on. And it was so challenging. And one of my coaches is Tony Robbins, and he always talks about it takes a heartbeat to make a decision. So one day I went to work, and something happened, and I don't know why it was that thing, because so many things had happened at that job for that 7 years I was there. But that one day, something happened, and I was like, I'm done. And I walked to the personnel office, and I said, I'm done. And it was like this weight lifted off of me, and this relief, and I was tears pouring down. But instead of it being tears from despair, it was tears of joy and tears of release and openness. And I just heard God say, it's time. And I was fully surrendered, and I said, okay. And I knew it was talking about that book that I had hid on my computer. And when I said okay, all of the resources, all of the people, all of the understanding, all of the insights, everything that I needed just started coming to me from all sorts of places. And I published that book, The One Law for Amazing Abundance in Every Area of Your Life. That was the name of that book, The One Law. And that book got it to #1 bestseller on Amazon. It was fast, easy. I was like, oh my gosh, this was so much fun. I didn't really write the book. It wrote for me, through me. And I had all of these people, all of these resources, this whole team, all of this knowledge is coming, and it was easy and it was fun. And so I said, how can I duplicate that experience for somebody else? Because my heart, what's in alignment with me, is making as many people win as possible. I want everybody that I can to help succeed. If you want to succeed, I want you to succeed. I want to help you succeed. I want to cheer you on. I want to give you whatever you need. Like, if you're willing to take one step, I want to hold your arm and take that step with you, So anyway, I reverse engineered, okay, what happened to me? What happened for me? And then I saw a formula of how I can duplicate that experience for someone else. And I was watching church. I was living in Germany at the time, doing international contracts and litigation there. That's where I was, my last job. And I was listening online to my bishop in New Jersey talking about, he was giving a sermon one Sunday, and he said, yeah, I've been 10 years writing this book, and it was just a moment that he said it, and then he went back to the sermon, but my reticulating, activating system part of my brain picked it up, and I was just like, I can help him. And I called him right after that, and I said, Pastor, I can help you publish your book. And he hired me. So first phone call was my first high-paid client. And 3 months later, he was holding his #1 best-selling book, completely done, standing there with his wife and his daughters, holding back tears, smiling. And his book went out across the world and has impacted lives in many people. While I was doing his book, a woman from one of my masterminds, she said, hey, I saw your book, The One Law. Can you help me do mine? So my second client called me. I said, yes, I can help you. And we got her book out, published across the world, best-selling book. And she was out of Canada, and I'm in the US. And I'm like, this is amazing and beautiful, and they were in different genres, and I got them the same result, and I loved the peace and the joy and the ease of, and so that's where Author Writers Academy was created.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay. So yeah, definitely. What a journey from one spot. It's like da, 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 da. Boom, there you go. We're taking this section Dix area.
Yes.
So the whole process from when you had the realization, no, this the job is I don't want to stop to I want to stop to okay, the book, was that like in over a few months? Was that over a few years? Like how long did that?
Yeah, so I was doing that job for 7 years. Um, and for the last 5 of those 7 years, I knew I was supposed to quit that job.
Hey,
One of, yeah, so again, Tony talks about it takes a moment, a heartbeat to make a decision. And so that 5 years wasn't me making the decision. It was me not having the courage to step into the decision, that's to do the thing I wanted to do. And I speak on stages around the world. One of the things I love to speak about is the courage to design and live the life you really want to live. I have written about that in many of my books. And it's one thing to have the desire of our heart. It's another thing to act through the fear and step into the courage and actually do the thing. And especially to do it when we don't know what's going to happen, when we don't know how it's going to work out, when we have to let go of the things that we're so-called already successful in. You know, I mean, I had the 6-figure salary and the corner office and with the window and the title that people envied, and and when I opened my mouth, people listened, and all of the things that some people may say is, oh, you had, and I had a beautiful home in Germany, and you had the dream, you had the American dream, and at one point. Yeah, perhaps. But then when I realized that it was no longer my dream, it was no longer where I was being called to, now I had to make a decision. Do I keep going down the path that's no longer my path and be miserable and cry every day and feel lonely and broken and have that inner conflict making me sick? My doctors were telling me that that job was literally going to kill me.
oh,
Because once something starts to affect you mentally and emotionally, it will affect you physically. And so our mental, our emotional, and our physical, and yes, also our spiritual, are all connected. Only in the Western world that we separate these out into separate buckets.
true.
All one.
Oh. So now that you moved into helping people write in their books, there are a lot of individuals out there who says books, reading, that's a thing of the past. That's not something that, is the future. Only computers, only this is the thing of the future. What is your reply to that?
Oh, that's a great question. So yes and no. Uh, you are absolutely right. Books are a thing of the past. And guess what we're standing on? We're standing on the past. Guess where all of the knowledge that we're drawing for comes from? It comes from our past. There's not one person out there who has not read something from somebody that has long passed on, that has sat down and shared their wisdom, shared their experience, shared their knowledge, shared their lifetime, decades of trial and error, condensed into yes, no, here, take it, formula, go. So that you can condense your decades into sometimes even days nowadays. I've taken books that I'm reading right now and I've dropped them into an AI, and as I'm reading it, help me analyze this, help me apply this to my life. Well, this is the formula for this, and and suddenly I'm able to see more and move faster and quantum leap over the decades that it took the people that were caring enough to share their knowledge and their wisdom, so that I could do that and then continue and do more. We are all standing on the shoulders of everyone that came before us. And so absolutely books are a thing of the past. And it's our past that makes our present and our future. And if you want to be a part of the future for the people that you're living around right now and influence and impact them, and you want to be a part of the future generations to come, that's why becoming an author is our privilege and our responsibility.
Oh, that was perfect, because some people forget how to really embrace the past in order to go, futuristic, because everything that we learned, yes, is historical, but we need the new, we need the innovative, we need the creativity, and that's something that people could give now and offer for future people. So with those working with you, is it mainly fiction stories? Is it true stories? Is it self-help type guidelines?
Yeah, so I work, my team and I, we work in all genres as long as it's putting out something positive into the world. I feel like I said, I'm a conduit for making the world a better place, for helping people that are making the world a better place to have that impact and that influence and that income that they're here to have. And so we've published, cookbooks, business books, spirituality books, relationship books. We've published in multiple languages, English, German, Hindi, you name it, we've done it. And as long as it's here to make a positive impact, that ripple effect through the world, we are definitely here to help. And it doesn't matter if they are not quite clear about which idea or what their idea is, or if they have the entire manuscript written and are like, okay, now what do I do with it? Or if they're somewhere in between, like halfway through writing and they've been struggling for years and they're like, how do I finish this and get this out into the world? We have clients in all three buckets. And so we meet you where you are and we take you from wherever you are, even from idea to published best-selling book. And it's fast, fun, easy. We've done it as fast as 90 days. And it's authentically you. It's not, something written out of AI that the courts have deemed, oh, it's not your legal property because AI wrote it and it's not you. And it's not something that you would be ashamed to put your name on. It's something that you would actually be proud of. It's something that will connect you with your right audience, with your right ecosystem, with the right path that you're wanting. I've had clients who have, most of my clients are entrepreneurs. I've had clients that have started new businesses because of their book, elevated the businesses that they were in because of it. I've had clients that we also work with a lot of professionals, doctors, lawyers, CPAs, that kind of thing. We've published for them as well. And I've had many of them, because of the experience of becoming an author, also become an entrepreneur. I've had many of them elevate and add to their professional practice, because now you're seen as the expert in your field. Mm-hmm. And through the process of becoming an author, it's an identity shift. And you get clarity about so many things that you didn't realize about yourself, about what you know, and about what you're here to do in the world.